not something you sign up for, you can see, do you want to do it for an extra charge or something, or within your time, or if you have the time. If you want to do it, you can say, okay, it's not normally something that I do, but I can look into it and I can figure it out. Just not being scared, but, giving the option, saying, okay, that's not my skill, but I can see if I can do that for you. If they're willing to try, why not?
The Uncle Goal Podcast.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Uncle Go podcast. My name is Borna, and today I have an interesting guest here because we're going to talk about how to become a virtual assistant. What does it mean to be a virtual assistant? How does this job work? How much money can a person make through working online for someone else? And I'm super excited to welcome Dea Banic to the podcast.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Back
again.
We've been planning this for a long time, and
Yes.
we kind of couldn't find enough time to organize this, but now we're here. So for the audience that doesn't know you, can you do a little bit of an intro before we go into what's a virtual assistant?
Of course. So should I introduce myself first?
Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself, like what do you do, and who were you maybe in high school? How did you get from there to this point where you are now?
Perfect. So my name is Dea. I'm from Croatia and I currently live in Ireland. I moved here in 2018, so it's been 3.5 years now. So it's been an amazing experience. It's definitely something different to experience life in another culture, in another country. And I came here because I got a job while I was still in Croatia. We did another podcast in Croatian. I worked in a hotel, and then I found out online, actually on Facebook. Social media is amazing, what you can find there. And that's where I found out about the virtual assistant. So the virtual assistant is a person who works online from home, and you work for an individual, an entrepreneur, a company, and you can do for them basically anything that's possible to do online and what you have the skills for. So of course, I took a course that I found on Facebook, and I decided that I want to try it out. I was still in my 9-to-5 job. I still worked in the hotel, but I still took the course, and I was like slowly getting into clients and everything. And I just kind of figured out that, wow, that's really something different. I found that I like it, that I do have the skills, because honestly, most of you already probably have some of the skills that you need for that. It's just kind of polishing and learning more of the things that you can use to get better and for your clients. So I quit my job. It was actually just a month and a half ago, so very recently, and decided to go full-time on and to be the virtual assistant and a web designer as well. It's something that I'll let you know about a bit later. It's also something that I found through virtual assistanting. It's been a ride. It's still fresh, but we're learning and growing, and it's definitely something to look forward to for the future.
And take us back a little bit. There's no official school in Croatia for being a virtual assistant.
No.
What did you do beforehand? What did you study and where did you work beforehand?
I studied in hospitality management, so tourism and hospitality management, because I wanted to work in a hotel, and that's where I started working. I started working on the reception desk in a hotel, and then when I came to Ireland, I came on a position in the reservations office. No, before that, of course, I was a waitress and everything, and I did for a catering company and administration office as well, for students. So I kind of mixed a bit of a lot of it, but I worked in hospitality and tourism.
How come you chose tourism?
There's a lot to offer, and I loved working with people. And I loved learning different languages, and kind of when I was choosing for high school, you would actually learn more of the languages and proper how to use it with people in a tourism school than in an actual language school, because you have to then learn Latin and things like that. Then
that's what happened to me.
You don't really use. So I never learned Latin, and I had never had to use it. So, and I had, and in high school for tourism, I was learning 3 languages, and then I took an extra one, like an additional language.
Which languages were you learning? Probably Italian, because Croatia is close to Italy.
Yeah, it was Italian. We could have actually chosen. So our primary ones were English and German, and then you could choose if you want to learn Italian or French. So I took Italian, and then as an additional language, I took Spanish, because I really love Spanish. So I really enjoyed learning that language. But then when I came to college, then it was more, specific topics about learning of, management, marketing, time management, organization, and things like that.
The business side.
Yeah, the business side. And we actually even had a great couple of kind of practice subjects as well, where we could actually do things. It was really, really fun, really educational. Didn't have so much languages as we used to, because like every year we had like one language, 1 or 2, kind of, you would be adding them up as you would be going higher in the years. But yeah, like any language, actually, if you don't use it outside of actually just learning it, you'll
lose it eventually.
Yeah.
If you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
I know the feeling. It happened to me actually multiple times. I also studied languages in high school. I didn't go to a tourist school because I still wasn't sure what I'm going to do, but I was good with languages. So I was like, all right, I'm going to study that. And then like in one job, I used only English or only Croatian, and then my German fell off like really, really hard. But at one point, my German was really, really strong. And then I switched jobs and started using German on a daily basis. And then the reverse happened. I forgot English and started using German again. So it's all about practice, And I noticed that a lot of people in Croatia go down the tourism route because we have a really strong tourism industry. And I think there's a lot of jobs there, especially at the coast, because everybody goes there. It's like, if you haven't been to Croatia, try it. Definitely summer months, go to one of the islands. That's the best, or just along the coast. It's amazing. But yeah, you worked in a hotel in Zagreb, right?
Yes.
And then you got an offer somewhere else.
Yes.
How did that happen?
Well, there was a recruitment agency that found me on LinkedIn, and they actually approached all of my colleagues because of the hotel that I worked in. It's a popular one. It's a world-known chain of hotels. So they knew that we would do well. And there was a lot of hotels from Ireland that actually came to Croatia, and in one of the hotels they organized like a conference room, and they had multiple hotels, just like kind of they had their HR, if they were looking for a specific, like a chef or someone, then they would have a person from that department as well. But it was mostly HR department that was there from each of the hotels, and they were there in the circle. You had to bring your CV, and then you would speak to them and see, what they're looking for. They would ask you a bit of questions, look at your CV, and then you can get an offer. And the recruitment agency kind of approached me on LinkedIn, asked if I would be interested. And I just thought that it would be interesting, to go there to see what's there on offer, how it looks like. I've never been to Ireland before. So I kind of wanted to see, okay, what are offers there. It didn't cross my mind at all that I'd be moving to Ireland after that. So I went.
Were the interviews hard? Like, were the questions difficult, and did it take a long time to go through all the interviews?
No, like you didn't have to go to all of them. You could have just go to a couple of them. They all had like a banner, and on most of them you could see actually what they were looking for. And they had brochures and things, so you could kind of look through it. And there was a few breaks in between. It was there for like 2 days, and like you could come there and you could be there the whole day.
Were all jobs in Ireland, or were other countries included as well?
No, it was only Ireland. Yeah. So the recruitment agency has decided they've done only hotels in Ireland for that session. And it was interesting. There was a lot of hotels, a lot of different places from most of those towns I've never heard of, especially the one that I chose as well. So, but there were other smaller places as well. And it was interesting how it really shown how it matters to them from where you come from. So I worked in a Hilton at that time in Zagreb, and
double trip at Hilton.
Yes.
With the cookies.
Yes. And it really convinced them, you know, that they saw, okay, a Hilton, nice, that's a, you know, world-known hotel chain. So they were kind of all wanted to speak to me because out of my colleagues, there was only 2 people from the hotel that came to those interviews as well with me. And one of them was a trainee at the time. So after the first round of talks, we had a break. I went to get some food and everything. It's been a long day. I came from a night shift, and
oh my God,
I was going to a night shift again that day.
Oh my God.
So I only slept for like a few hours to get to those meetings. And I was like, all that trouble, and I'm just going to hear what's going on, you know, what's there outside of Croatia, because I always love to travel. So I wanted to see what are the options. And, you know, it's always good to have contacts, you know, if you even decide to go somewhere, you can, you know, oh, I met you on that. I don't know if you remember me and things like that.
That's smart, yeah.
So when we were coming back from the break and we were waiting to go to the room again to speak to people, the guy from the recruitment agency that actually got in contact with me, he was like, oh, there's a couple of people that were asking to speak with you, just make sure you go to them. And, you know, they all had my CV. And I was like, wow, okay, this is so interesting. I was there from, I think, 11 o'clock in the morning until about 6 p.m. So it was like a long day. And then I was starting night shift in the evening. So it was a really long day. And then I actually decided to go with the hotel. That was my last interview there. So the lady from the HR office there was the whole day. She was exhausted. I was exhausted. But we kind of just got into chatting and everything. And they actually suited me most because most of other places were mostly looking for waiters and for housekeeping, and for reception desk it was, I think, only 2 or 3 of them.
So you said they were looking for waiters, housekeepers, and that. What position did you want?
Well, I was working at the reception desk at the time, so I was looking at their reception desk because I didn't think that they would take me for another department if I don't have experience, especially bringing someone to another country. I didn't believe that. So I was like, okay, you know, receptionist, that would be nice. I did bartending before reception desk, and I did that for a few years while I was a student. So I worked throughout my college, and I kind of decided I don't want to do that anymore. And then housekeeping, I had some practice work while in high school, but then after that, I didn't do really much there. I could have, of course, like it is quite physical work and everything. You keep your weight with that anyway. But yeah, I was kind of looking, you know, I was at the reception at the time, and while I was even why I even considered going on to those interviews was like, because I was ready to go to the next level, and I was ready to learn more and grow and go further. I didn't want to get stuck there for another couple of years before I go to another level. And at the time at the hotel, I knew where I worked at the moment that they already had people before me that, you know, were already, if they're going to open up the position, it's going to be those people. So you know how it goes.
You would have to wait for a long time to get it.
And that's normal. Like there was people with more experience before me and that were working there for longer, and that I've learned from. And I understand that me going above them, it's, you know, doesn't make sense. So of course I was ready for that. So I kind of thought, okay, if I explore other options, there might be an opportunity somewhere else for me where I might be someone more experienced. So when I went to those interviews, the last one that I spoke to, the lady was like, oh, we were just talking. There wasn't any talk about what position it is. We were just talking. I was like, yeah, I work at the reception desk and things like that. And we just started chatting, and she asked me a couple of questions. She was looking at my CV, but mostly we were just, chatting away, and, how I would react to a problem, how would I solve something, and what I actually do in my job. Because in Croatia, most of like reservations department and those like offices are open Monday to Friday. So reception desk, when you work there over the weekend, you kind of have to cover for those offices as well. Like, of course, we're not going to do financing and things like that. That's going to have to wait. But then reservations and things like that, you do cover them over the weekend as well. We learned that part too. So I told her all that, and then she was like, you know what, we actually have an open position. You would be great for a reservations office. I was like, that was like in my head, that was my next step, that was my next level, to go there, and then from there, go somewhere else. I was like, wow. I was like, really? And at that point I was like, wow, you got me there, because it's a position higher. And it was a position higher than what I was doing at the time. And I was like, okay, I didn't actually work in a reservation office. I do know how to do reservations and things like that, but every hotel has its own system, so it's different. You have to learn everywhere, everything new. So I was really impressed, and I was shocked. I was like, wow, this is something new. I was like, she already started writing to me, this is what we can offer you from the salary. And she even gave me a number for a lady from Croatia that already worked in that office. Everyone else was Irish. There were 2 Croatian ladies that worked there, and she gave me for one of them a number. She's like, give her a call, see how she finds working there, and talk with her. They even talked about that they offer accommodation for employees as well. And there was so many information, and there was an amazing offer. I was like, wow. And then I was like, where is the hotel? And then she told me, and I was like, okay. I was like, never heard of the place, but I never heard of half of them there. So I was like, I'll Google. We ended the conversations, and I had to go to work for another night shift. And I was a bit overwhelmed, with all the information that I got. And it was very interesting. I didn't know what to do at that time. So I kind of just, had a sleepover. They said that who they want to go with, that they'll send offers and contact people the next day. So, I knew I had to wait for the next day anyway. So I was kind of thinking about it through, for the rest of the time. And at the time on the interviews before my last one, I did get another offer there as well. Straight on the spot, there was a lady from an HR office and a lady and that was actually one of the owners of the hotels. And it was also like a family group of hotels, family owned group of hotels, the same as one that I chose at the last interview. And they wanted someone on the reception desk. So they said they're looking for a receptionist, and for them, they always have a night porter. So women normally don't work night shifts, but they're like, you have experience, you work them, even if you need to, if it needs cover, we know that you have the experience, that you can. And it was also a smaller place, and they were really, you could see on them that they really wanted me. And I felt amazing. I haven't experienced that in Croatia. And it was amazing seeing that someone, outside in another country really wants to bring you into their country to work with them, for them. And it was an amazing experience. I felt amazing, and my confidence grew like way up the top. And they said, if you get other offers, just think about it. They're like, just don't turn us down before you talk to us. They said we're ready to offer competitive to negotiate and offer competitive salary. They're like, we can offer you more than someone else is offering to you. And I was like, wow, so I could have gone way well there. And it was an amazing offer, and I really loved them. They sounded so nice, and the hotels looked really nice. But then the next day, I did get an offer from them. I did got the offer for the reservations office, and then it was kind of more thinking, okay, do I want to go there for a higher salary, even though whichever salary they give me, it's higher than in Croatia. Because even the last, both of them didn't, they already gave me a higher wage than it was a minimum wage in Ireland. And normally when you start in Ireland, and especially if you come as a foreigner, you'll start around the minimum wage. And they both offered me already a quite higher rate than it was at a minimum. So I was really pleased with that. And then it was more of now thinking, will I negotiate and go for even higher wage and work at the reception desk, or will I kind of go for what I was looking for and go a level up and go to reservations and get another level of experience? So then in the end, I decided that, you know, wage can grow with time. And I was like, I did want to move a step forward. So I decided to go with reservations.
Cool. So you made the decision to go for the reception and you decided to move to Ireland. How were the first impressions? Like, how was it to move to a new country?
Wow. At the start, like I was so excited, but then as well, I was like, wow, I'm really moving on my own and I don't know anyone there. So I was like, okay, I'll manage, you know, I was ready. I'd say the worst, you know, when I said it to people, you know, there was plenty of people were like, wow, that's amazing. Wow, well done. You know, you're brave and, you know, things like that. But then, you know, you always have people like parents and best friends. They're like,
no,
how can you go? You know, it's so far away. You know, and they were worried, of course. And then I was leaving my relationship behind as well.
Just to give a perspective for everyone watching, maybe from the US or somewhere further. So a flight from Croatia to Ireland is like less than 2 hours. So some people travel to work every day with a plane for more than an hour and a half. You know, so how parents told the story of, oh, it's too far away. It's actually not. It's actually fairly easy to get there.
It is. And it was interesting. Now, of course, not always they have like direct flights, and that's direct flight that's about 2 hours long. So, but even when you have to cross over, it doesn't take as long. Like you're there in the day, like that's no issue. So anyways, I had a connecting flight and my parents took me to the airport and my brother and a cousin. So it was kind of a big farewell. It was very nice. I did get emotional, of course, but coming there was like very exciting. They, a lady from HR, welcomed me there. When I arrived after the plane, I landed in Dublin, but the place that I took the job in is called Killarney, and it's a smaller town, quite smaller, and it's about 3.5 hour drive from Dublin. Now I didn't know at the time when I was coming, I just knew, you know, you take that bus and the bus will take you. I didn't know that there's an option where it's much more comfortable and you don't maybe travel as long if you take the train, but you have to go to the center and everything. Since I wasn't familiar with Dublin and everything, they just told me, you know, straight from the airport, just take the bus, you know, they'll leave you at one stop, you'll just have to cross over to another bus, but you're staying where you are and that's it. You don't have to go around. I was like, okay, you know, makes sense. So I came there, I took the bus. It was a working day, so there was it was a lot of traffic on the road as well. So it took about 6 hours for me to get there instead of 3.5. So it was a long ride. It was really late when I arrived there with the bus, but a lady from my HR office waited me on the bus station. She took me somewhere to the hotel to get some food, and then she took me to the accommodation, and it was amazing. I had a staff house after a month. A friend that went with me to high school, she and her boyfriend actually got the hotel jobs in the same hotels and in the same hotel group, so they went on the interviews as well when I did. and they got the job as well. So they put us in the same house. So that was amazing. After a month, they arrived. So I was, it was amazing. It was actually more amazing when I started in the office. Everyone was so nice. Everyone was so, welcoming, and, they were there for support and, help, whatever you need.
Yeah.
And then I met the 2 Croatian girls as well. And then it turned out that one of the girls that was working there, it's actually from my neighborhood town back in Croatia.
The coincidence.
And I was like, wow, mind blown, because you're talking, you know which town you are, which neighborhood. And I'm like, what? Like, we went to the same primary school, but there's an age difference, it's just 2 years of age difference. So that's the only difference, we kind of knew each other from, seeing each other around the neighborhood.
But you never hung out.
Yeah, we've never hung out. But we were like, talking and talking. And she's like, oh my God, I think I remember you, So that was amazing. We really connected, and we're great friends still. So that was great help, actually, because she's here with her mom and her daughter, and they helped me a great deal while I was here, spending time with me, showing me things around. And we went to so many amazing events together, just experiencing everything. She was in Ireland at that time for almost a year, I think, already. So it was amazing. She showed me everything, and we saw so many things together. And I kind of first few days, because the first week when I arrived, I didn't start working until the next week. So I kind of had a few days to go around town, to explore myself.
Sightseeing a bit around, yeah. And is Ireland really so green as everybody calls it to be?
Well, probably not Dublin, but Ireland mostly it is. It depends which places you go, but mostly it is. Like in the big cities, in the town centers, we all know it's not. But yes, it is amazing. There's a huge national park right in the Killarney town center. It's actually right next to the hotel where my office was, where I worked. So it was amazing. I would just go on my break and I'd just be walking around there. It was beautiful. It is still beautiful. So much nature, and it's a small town, but it's a completely tourist town. So season hits, like, we're swamped, and there's a hotel next to a hotel next to a hotel, and a lot of you have to have a pub at every centimeter. But there's a lot of hotels and Airbnbs and hostels and things like that, and there's such a there's a big variety of accommodation options. And even though you think, oh my God, there's so many hotels and accommodation, like, how do they work, in such a small town? But then again, when the season starts, they're all full. You can't find a space. We do get a lot of tourists, and it's a great spot to go to some sightseeing tours like Ring of Kerry and things like that. So Killarney is actually a great space, to stay over, do some tours from Killarney, and then to actually be in Killarney itself. It's not that small. You still have places to see, and a lot of pubs, shops, and restaurants that you can enjoy and have fun. So there's a lot to offer, and I came to love Killarney as soon as I came. It took me like 2 days to fall in love.
It's a really cool place, and it's very vibrant at night. Everything seems to be not just custom made for tourists, but also for everyone living there, so they can have fun and enjoy the place where they're living and working as well. And the nightlife is amazing. Food is also really, really good. And definitely a top visit place in Ireland. Most people probably heard about the Cliffs of Moher, Dublin, of course. Galway, probably made popular by the song Galway Girl. All those places are amazing. Killarney is a little bit smaller, but still definitely worth a visit.
Definitely is.
All right, so you moved from Croatia to Ireland, started working in the reservations department, and after a while you got interested in being a virtual assistant? Like how did that happen? Like I presume that most people are not familiar with that job, because most people are used to how we used to work, right? You go to an office, you work to a 9 to 5 or afternoon shift or night shift somewhere. And virtual assistant is something that was actually made possible in the last few years, well, the last decade, where we have high-speed internet and cameras and more people start to work online. But give us some more details, like what does a virtual assistant do and how does that job work?
So yes, about virtual assistants, I found out about them while after I moved to Ireland. So I was working for a couple of months already, and by pure accident, I saw online on Facebook actually, there was an ad for a free course, something about, how to be a virtual assistant. Like it was earn from home, travel and earn money. And I was like, this sounds interesting. And I was like, again, as I went to the interviews for Ireland, I was like, why not check it out? So I took the free course. It lasted there for a week. So every day had some things you were going through. And I was like, wow, this is not bad. This is something interesting. That's where I found out about virtual assistant. But then I kind of didn't take any action. I was happy where I worked at the moment, and everything. So at the end of the year, I saw another course that was online. It was a paid course now this time, and it was for a virtual assistant. They're like going through about who the virtual assistant is, what are the traits, what are the skills that you already have, and how to, own the skills, and then how to learn other skills, and what to use and where to find clients and things like that. And it had, from start to finish, everything, just find clients, and there are like a lot of good testimonials and reviews about it, that it was I think their second cycle of that course. And people who were on the first one, they're kind of talking through there, they were kind of, they continued on with Katie that actually started the whole thing. And they kind of joined her in, and they're now, were talking to us and kind of the ones behind and covering and helping.
We had one
with
of
the
them on
course.
the podcast. So
Yes.
We'll link to that up here, but please continue. So, okay, so you found the course and you started. How long was the course? How long does that usually take? So you took the course, and how long was it?
Yeah, so the course was for 6 months, and that's why I suppose, it was a paid course. It wasn't, too expensive, but it wasn't too cheap either. It would be a first that big of an investment that I would make. So I was like, my thoughts were, is it worth it? And then I was thinking, would I do it? Wouldn't I? And it took me like a month. And then I jumped on a call with one of the girls that took the course and that's now helping and covering kind of the time zone in the UK and Ireland. And so we went through some things, and then, just to see if that is for me, and then kind of to talk with her and to see, how she went through it, what is her experience and things like that, and what can I expect from that. So after the talk with her, I was, really encouraged. And then I heard the price again, and I was like, okay, that sounds like a lot. But then
especially
again,
when you come from Croatia, everything in euros and dollars sounds, almost 10 times more. Well, it's not. It's like 5 to 7 times more, but it's shocking to see something like that. So
it is, and like you could have paid like in
installments.
In installments, yes. And this was for 6 months, so you could pay, a monthly fee to get up to that. Now, of course, it's always like you do get a kind of a discount when you pay upfront, but when you pay in installments, it comes up a bit higher. But then it's still not that big of a difference. At the time, I didn't want to put in that much upfront, so for me at the time, I chose, okay, if I'm going with that, I'm definitely going to go in installments, because I won't feel it and it was just an easier way to go with. I did have savings, but I kind of, I wanted that to be there. So I was like, just gonna go with it. And then talking a bit with my partner, seeing what he thinks, and he was always so supportive.
Such a great guy.
Yeah. So I did decide to go with the course, and the course started in February 2019. So it's been, 2 long years now since the course, and it was amazing. Like, while you're in the course, you can already start finding clients. You can already, start the work. You don't have to wait for the course to end for to actually start finding clients. Like, there's no need, because you're there. You have support group. So we had a support group on Facebook, and she had her course online. So we kind of went it weekly, and each week you had, one section was opening up, and then you would kind of be going through the course. And with each level, you had an assignment to do, just to see that you're working there. And then we had a couple of it was, I think, 2 times a month we had a group call as well. And it was just a couple of us. They had few groups, and there was just a couple of us where we could all, talk individually as well, put our concerns, kind of discuss things that we wanted to clear out with the leaders. And it was really nice, because to this day, we still have that support group on Facebook. And it's a community where we support each other. We share, I had someone ask this, but I don't have the time or space, or this is not the area I
specialize in.
And that with. I do. So, you kind of share, job offers and things like that. You kind of support. You're like, okay, I came across this issue and I don't know how to solve it. And then you go into the group, and then there's always someone to help you. And it's just amazing to have that kind of the support all the way through with you. So I did a course, and the support was amazing. So a virtual assistant, actually, you can kind of split it to a few different areas. One of them is admin VA. So admin VA most specializes in, let's say you would be doing data entry, you would be doing some documentation for them. So either maybe building forms or creating special documents for them.
Templates maybe, or something like that.
According to what they would be asking for you. You can get in touch with their clients. You can manage the back end side of their business, kind of their tasks, and making sure that they, that they are doing the tasks that they need to do, and kind of, keeping track of the tasks and when something has to be finished and things like that.
Something like a time management VA.
Yes. Nice. So you can incorporate that as well. And then you can get in touch with their clients. You can be their customer support as well. That all kind of goes into admin.
That would be emails, calls,
that's correct.
Things like that. Okay.
Messages and things like that. So you can cover kind of a really wide area, of expertise. And actually, a lot of that you already learned through school. You learned how to use Word and Excel sheets and PowerPoint, so you can do PowerPoint presentations for a client as well, help them with their course or something,
I've seen a lot of content creators since I'm, doing the podcast and working a lot on YouTube. I see a lot of content creators who have their, bigger YouTube channels or bigger podcasts, who hire virtual assistants to help them with that, either to, cut content or write, a copy or questions for a podcast or things like that, so they help them with different stuff regarding their existing channels.
Writing copy as well, things like that. Copywriting, it would be as well one of the trades. Now, as I said, it's really wide. You never know. Every client is different, and every client has different needs. You can cover personal stuff for them as well. They can ask you to book a trip for them, or to call customer support and discuss something for them that they're waiting, or So there's a lot of stuff that you can deal with. After admin, then you have social media. So you can be a social media manager, you can be a social media VA. So it means creating content for them, publishing it, engaging with their targeted audience, doing a strategy for them, being the main person in their, Facebook group or something like that. It's, you can go from Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, all of them. And everyone, some either, specialize just like a Pinterest specialist, let's say, and some would go only for Instagram, or someone will be like LinkedIn specialist. You can kind of decide for just one, but you can also be like a social media manager, and you can just do, throughout the whole social media platforms and kind of bring them online. And there's good money in that as well. I did go through that in the course. It's really beneficial because like you have to do it for yourself as well for your business. It's great, but let's say for me, I chose not to go with social media. So if anyone comes to me and looking for a VA, and if they're looking for help with social media, it's not an area that I'm going to go for. Now, if I have a client, and what I mostly specialized was admin, and I do for clients pretty much anything that they need. And then if they need some help with social media, let's say, just create a thumbnail, or just, create for a blog post, the graphics and things like that, and to engage with people on their social media accounts, that's no problem. I'll do those things, but I won't offer my services to manage someone's account, because I didn't go further into that to specialize for that. So I'm still working on strategies for myself. And honestly, as my business grows, I think the first person I'm going to hire will be a social media manager.
Social media,
So a VA for social media or a manager, whatever, who's gonna, keep things around for me. I think I'm gonna go more with the VA, because manager mostly, gives you strategy. That's it. They won't go into actually making the content for you, because they just manage. So I'm gonna go with the social media VA, someone who's gonna do my content, as per my wishes, of course. I don't mean I do still think that I'll keep engaging myself, with my audience and everything. I do want to keep that personally still. It's just organizing content and publishing it, and making sure that your, hashtags and everything are okay. It takes a lot of time, to go into that research and everything. And for me, it's kind of exhausting. And I'm like looking at the hashtags and like checking every hashtag, and I'm like, it just takes so much time. And I decided that's the one thing I'm going to let go first.
Smart.
So yeah.
A lot of people recommend that online. So if you're not good at something, or if you really don't like it, then just hire a person that's going to do it for you. And then first of all, it removes stress, because you don't have to do it. Someone is a lot better than you at it, a lot better than you at it. And it just like solves two problems at the same time. And that's where a VA really comes in handy. I'm thinking about a VA for my podcast as well. I worked with a guy called Stefan that we also had on the podcast as well. And he helped me with cutting up videos for the channel. And it saves so much time, like at the start, you probably waste a lot of time. Well, not waste, you invest a lot of time into communicating.
Yes, of course.
And explaining to the person what you exactly want and how does it work, like your vision, like showing the person where you want to go. That might take a bit more time, but in the end it's worth it, because the person actually takes care of your work.
Of course, because you do want them to do it, because that work then portrays yourself and your business.
Of course.
So you do want them to know what you stand for and how to do the best work to represent you, and to do that on your behalf, and to, in the end, it has to look like you've done it yourself, and that's it. Like, it has to represent yourself. So you do need to take proper time for them to actually know what they need to do for you and how they have to do it. Then we have a tech VA as well. So that's an area that I went with as well. So a tech VA would be looking after website maintenance, website design, website development, and you would cover kind of all the bases that would be, techie. you know, everything that they need to do with some kind of a software or things like that, you would do those things. Now there's a lot of other
before we go there, I feel that one seems the hardest to me. Like, I'm not a very technical person, especially when you mentioned like programming and things like that. I don't think I would choose that one.
Yeah, well, as a tech VA, you don't really actually go into programming itself. You know, that would be more higher level for coding and things like that. It's not really a main trait, you know, like not many who know actually coding and things like that, they're going to call themselves differently. They won't be a virtual assistant, you know. So it's most like website maintenance, website design, and website development. You can do that without even knowing how to code, you know, because nowadays everything's made so, you know, much simpler. You know, you can do basically a lot of stuff yourself. It's just plenty of people don't have the time or don't want to bother themselves with that. And as you said, not everyone is tech savvy, so they won't know how to do some of those things. You know, it's creating funnels, landing pages, things like that also fall into that. And then you also have, for more of artists, you have a design VA as well that, you know, kind of specializes in that. So, you know, you can incorporate web design there as well, but there's like graphic design, you know, and basically, you know, logo design and everything that you can, that it's kind of, you know, basically using Photoshop or, you know, Adobe services where you can just, you know, design stuff. So it's more for artists, and that's amazing. When you look at it, a lot of people, you know, there's a lot of bookkeepers as well, you know, it falls more to the admin side, but then, you know, there are a lot of financial services that you can offer as a VA as well. So, you know, kind of everyone specializes in something else. These are like 4 main groups, let's say, of VAs, but, you know, there's so many kinds. Like you can be a real estate VA, you know. So there's so many things that you can actually offer as a VA, and probably for whatever you decide to go with, you probably have that skill already. You know, if you're a designer and you love art, you love painting, like graphic design won't be hard for you, you know. You learn how to do it, just a few steps, and you'll know it, and you can offer that as a service. It's just not many people think that, you know, I've learned this and that. Like I've dealt with customers since high school, so I know a lot about that, and I know how to communicate with people, and, you know, learn things like that throughout work and everything in your experience. So I can be a customer support representative, a customer support VA to anyone, you know, because I know how to do that job. So I don't really need any additional training. You'll actually need to do the prep and research when you actually get a client, to know what their business is for and how to talk with their clients according to their business needs. And that's, you know, with each client, you do have to do the work. You know, it's not, you won't know everything before you start with the client, because every business is different, every client is different. So
everybody will have their specific needs, you know. Like,
so it takes a lot of work when you even start with them, but it's just, you know, having the confidence and knowing that, you know, and whatever you don't know, you can learn. You can Google, you know, you can find out. You have a big community where you can ask and find out things. You don't have to, you know, be scared because, okay, what if client gives me something and I don't know how to do it? So you'll either say that you want, like, you have to be transparent and clear with the clients. You have to tell them, you know, what can they expect. And then if they ask you, would you be able to do this for me as well? If that's not something you sign up for, you can see, do you want to do it for an extra charge or something, or within your time, or if you have the time? If you want to do it, you can say, okay, it's not normally something that I do, but I can look into it and I can figure it out. You know, you can also approach it that way. It's just not being scared, but, you know, giving the option, saying, okay, that's not my skill, but I can see if I can do that for you. You know, if they're willing to try, why not?
Hey, if you love using YouTube, I recommend the free Chrome extension called TubeBuddy. It allows you to do some advanced keyword research, cut your publishing time in half, and also rank your videos higher in search. I use them when creating for all my 3 channels They have a paid version as well, but I recommend starting with the free option for starters. They give you a lot of data when watching YouTube, also comparing your stats to other YouTube channels, and help me a lot to gain more subscribers and more viewers on my channels. As I said, it's a free Chrome extension, but please use the link down below in the comments. And if you go for the paid version, type in Borna Tubers to get a discount of 20%. And now let's get back to the video.
No,
Exactly. Yeah.
There's no point in you saying, but if it's something like, as I said, for me, social media management, or even, design itself, it's all more about, choose some skills that you already have, choose skills that you want to grow, or even if you do realize that you would be good for some area, then learn it, take that and be like, okay, I know that I'm really good at this. I could be really good at this. I do have a background that could lead me to that, and I could learn it quickly, and just go there and practice. And there's gonna have to be a first client in everything, and
exactly.
you'll have to try with someone to get the experience. And like, first try out the apps yourself, design a website for yourself, research the apps that you can use for your clients, how you can help them. And then, more apps that you know how to use, it's going to be much easier when you start with someone, then you still have the experience, because, you learned it yourself, you went there, you studied it, you played with it, ins and outs of these programs, these apps. And then when you know that, that's it, that's the main part. You do have to learn how to use those things. But then, of course, don't go over your head, don't say that you're doing things that you actually don't, and that you never done, and that you never worked with that app. Just be transparent, because if you say something, they'll expect more from you than you can offer them. And then that can get you to losing a client, which you don't want. You want to be on a good voice. You want to have long-term clients. You'll have some clients that are going to be just project-based, but you'll have clients that are going to be long-term for you. And you just have to know, how to, put yourself in a good position with them. Like, you will want to, after finish work, or if it's a long-term client, after a while, you want them to give you a referral, to give you a testimonial, something you can put up on your website or your portfolio, or whatever you have to showcase to other clients when you're applying for other jobs, to, put in there as
a
with your
reference.
CV, that they know that you have some kind of background and you have experience, you have someone who's happy with you. And that's a big plus, with time, definitely, as you get the experience.
True. You answered a few questions there that I had. One was definitely about confidence, because I can see that, because there is so many things that you can learn and so many different tasks that a new client can give you, people might get scared, especially if they have never done it. And you give a few great points there, how someone can prepare themselves for such a role, where you really have to be diversified and really kind of learn as you go. But in my mind, it's always like, all right, you're starting something new, you basically don't know how to do it. Even though you said you might have some skills that are useful from your last job, you basically can't know everything that will come your way. So you have to have that beginner mindset, like, all right, I'm starting over, I'm starting from zero, day one, let's go, let's learn. And I think that has a great effect when you do it for a long time. You learn so much, and you basically become very adaptive as a person. So a job like that, I think, can work wonders on a person's self-esteem or confidence levels, and even other skills that you can use basically for anything, right? And you become resourceful. And then if something happens in your life, regardless of the job or the client, you're like, how do I solve this? Well, I'm resourceful now. I can Google it. I can find some information, ask, and I think it's actually very useful to go down that route.
It is. And I think that it pays off getting a course, because not with the course, you do get a lifetime support. You get the community, you meet people, people that want the same things as you, and you connect with the people that have, their same mindset as you, and which is great, because, a lot of people in those groups kind of find an
accountability partner.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great thing.
And you know, then you kind of support each other individually, separately outside of the group as well. But then you always have somewhere to go to for help, and you can always research the group, because there probably might be people that ask the same questions as you, and you know, and you can always see that it's not a shame to ask a question, and that you can get stuck, and many people do, and you know, something that for you will be like, oh my God, how did they do not know that? But then again, when you see that they know things that you don't know, and for them it's gonna be like, oh, how do you don't know that? You know, you realize there, okay, wow, okay, there's no judgment in that area. That's what I love, and that's why it's good paying for a course, because you know, a lot of there is a lot of free courses as well that you can do, and it depends where you get them and for which skill you're going for. But for VA, it's great to find courses like that. Like, I'm really happy with the Laptop Freedom course that I did. I met amazing people there. I actually met some of them in person as well. And Rachel was one of them that was in the podcast as well. So it's an amazing group, and it's still going. The owner changed. Katie kind of decided to go for different things and give the business to one of the girls that was in her first group of on the course, and she was one of the trainees when I was doing the course, and she's amazing. She's leading the whole thing now, and it's still there, and the community is just getting bigger and bigger. And there's so much support in that. Like, we even have like an Excel sheet with like what we decided with our jobs, and you know, what skill you decided to go with, and you can kind of, we have all our lists there, so she can kind of recommend if she gets some people, and she has connections as well. So when she finds about someone, she can kind of reach out to us, or she can give our details, or you know, someone who's looking for someone can go to that list and be like, oh, hey, can you help me with this? And you know, it's a great space because there's a lot to learn. I think it's great because you get the guidelines, you know, you get the guidelines from them, where to look, what apps are there. Like, I learned about so many apps. I was like, did that much exist? You know, those programs. Yes, I was like, that's so easy. That makes your life so much easier. And then you go through them, and then you're like, oh my God, which one is better? But then you just have to, it's a process of just experience and learning. You just have to open, you know, you want to go for admin, you will be overwhelmed with how many apps you can use and how you can help your clients. But then it's also learning, you know, you just have to sign up for each app, and for each of them you have like a sample client, and you can just, you know, get in your head and like, let's say, think about having your kind of figure out who your targeted audience is, who you want to work with. And then let's say, imagine an ideal client, and, you know, just put down, you know, like the gender, the age, the family, and work and things like that. And how much they earn and things like that. And then put that on the list, and then go to each of the apps, and then try and do it for the client, and then see what the client would need, and how to do this, and how to make an invoice, and how to make an agreement, and things like that. It's all things that you learn in the course as well. You get a template that you could use for the start until you kind of, you know, make it your own, and you learn, okay, this doesn't work for me, I could put in this and that. You know, it's some stuff that, you know, you cover yourself, let's say, legally, but then you don't go to, you know, kind of legal basis, but you're the one that makes your own agreement. But that's kind of to cover yourself and the client. You make them sign it. You know, it's still binding for you too, even though you didn't go through an attorney or a law firm or something. You know, you do have to have some grounds to set for yourself and for the client. Like, you know, you can't just go, yeah, I'll work with you, let's go, and you know, because you never know. Unfortunately, there are clients that get screwed by some VAs, but then again, there's VAs that, you know, do the work and then never get paid or things like that. So, you know, you just have to cover yourself.
That happens in courses as well. There are a lot of courses out there where people just sell you anything just to get your money, and then there's no support group, there's no long-term help, and even worse things happen to people. So be careful, guys, when you're looking for a good course. Make sure to research and check online if there are a lot of people who kind of went through the course and can vouch like, oh yeah, this is a good thing.
Yeah. Laptop Freedom has a free group as well on Facebook. You can check it out. You can see things there. There are other courses as well, and I am in different groups and with people that have their own courses outside of Laptop Freedom. Some people were doing both of them or some other courses. I heard that there are others that are good. I don't know personally, so I can't really vouch for them. I did a few free courses from other people as well. It's just in most of those free courses, you only get like 1% of what you actually need, and then everything else is just talk about what you need.
Yeah.
But then the results are actually shown in the paid course. So I can't say that I found a huge amount of value in a lot of free courses. There were some that really did show a lot in a free course, and I was like, okay, that's enough for me. I don't have to go to a paid course because this covers of what I need to know and how far I want to go in that area. But then again, for you, it can mean, okay, wow, this is amazing, I can learn even more than that, but still you see that you can actually learn already something in the free course, and then it makes it better for you. You're like, okay, I'm going to pay a course now. It doesn't have to be the case always, but you know,
and I presume that it'll be different for every person.
So it has to be, you do have to be careful with that. Make sure that you really do the research and find the free groups, because most of them do have a free group there, and you can ask the people, who already been to the course, and just see how that it goes. There's a lot of groups. We in that course, we do get a list of Facebook groups. Oh my God, did I not know that so many Facebook groups exist where you can actually find clients, and then where there's so many of them where they offer you like free resources and they give you free content, and this can help you, and there's so much free content out there as well, but that helps you afterwards. Like, you first need to know how to get to those groups. And there's so many of them now. I'm not gonna go through them, I'm sorry guys, but like I won't lie, I'm in 20 groups at least.
Just for VA assistants.
Yes. And you get a list of like 60 of them. And like I'm probably in a lot more of them, but then it doesn't jump out all. So you make sure you just turn off the notifications for most of them, and just be intentional. When you go there and just find the things, you can turn on notifications for things that you want, but like if you have them turned on for everything, you will be overwhelmed and you won't be able to do it.
That's a great and important point there. Finding people through Facebook groups, okay, it works. So people post job posts there, and a lot of offers, and people contact you directly sometimes, right? But let's say somebody wants to start as a personal assistant or a VA. How do they do it? How do they find the first client? Like, okay, courses and free material online, but how to get to that first step? You mentioned Facebook groups. Is there another way that you can get someone?
You can, like, social media is your main point of researching clients. Now you have, of course, referrals as well, like someone that can recommend you someone, or someone that might need something like that, and you can tell them, oh, look, sure, I did this course, I can help you with that. So you can start like that as well. But it's mainly Facebook groups, and that's how I found all of my clients so far, actually.
Nice.
And actually, one was through a referral of a client that I work with, which is amazing. So I have both of them now. They're actually close, and it was nice getting referred that way as well.
Feels good.
So it's good. Your clients can refer your future clients as well, so if they're happy with you, there's no reason they won't do it, unless they're so happy they just don't want to share you. But then if they want to help you, they will. It's just those Facebook groups. There's a lot of job offers. There's a lot of entrepreneurs that are actually in those groups and actually ask for people. It's when you're a VA, like, you can use LinkedIn as well, but it's more like if you want to be an employee somewhere, you know, you're an independent contractor, this way. So mostly that's it. There is a lot of scams, so you do have to be very careful. People that, you know, get burned, they will, you know, they can write on some post, they'll comment like, oh, this is a scam, or, you know, I've had bad experience with that person. You know, there's no shame with, like, we're not hiding things. You know, people who did actually got burned, they will post it there. They don't mind, you know, and that person will search again. And the person, but there's going to be a comment there. Oh, no, you're a scam, or, you know, and people will comment there. So just be careful, make sure you read things. And, you know, with the course, you learn how to distinguish, you know, what is the right job advertising, what's, you know, way just above. So you can kind of learn to recognize them as well. Instagram as well, there's a lot of people that, you know, advertise their business on Instagram, and then they can DM you on Instagram, or like you can have your email there as well, so they can email you through Instagram as well. So that's another thing also, you know, until you have your own website, then you can promote that. But like kind of social media is the main point where you put yourself out there. And I think that the biggest advice there would be, you know, make sure that you're active in a couple of groups, and that you actually, in most of them, you have to be careful. Each group has kind of their own rules, guidelines. You do have to honor them, otherwise you'll be kicked out of that. And in most of them, you can't really self-advertise yourself. It's more like you can comment on or apply for a job depending on the description in the post, and make sure you read it all through, because people will say, you know, don't DM me, just apply by this way. And if you do actually DM them, then they'll ignore you. It's not about self-advertising, you know, offering your services. It's more like give value. You know, someone posts something that they're looking for, they're not sure, you know, help them, you know, give them an answer, give them a solution, and someone will catch that, and they'll be like, oh, this person could help me with this. They reply to this person. You know, if they see that you're active somewhere and you keep popping up for something that they need solution for, they'll reach out to you and they'll be like, hey, I need a VA for this. Can you help me? I saw that you comment, you know. So people can reach out to you as well. They like, doesn't have to be, you know, you applying to the ad, you know. You can get, like, my long-term client happened like that as well. Like, she saw me offer, you know, commenting on another job post. She saw that I can do things for her. That job post, unfortunately, I was in a different time zone or something like that, and they did need a certain, and then, you know, she reached out to me, and now we're working together for a long time now, and it's amazing. So, you know, there's a lot of ways to find it, but social media is the main thing. Even though if you're not so in love with social media, you learn at least, you know, things that you do have to do in order, you know, to put yourself out there. You have to do some of the work, you know.
And I presume you don't like have to be on all social media.
No.
Like, I presume that, let's say, if you're more on the admin side and you want to go more on the business route, it's better to stick just to LinkedIn and try to find companies there. And then on the other side, if you're more artsy, per se, you could go more to Instagram, because you'll find more brands like that need help with artwork.
I still wouldn't stick just for LinkedIn. Like, if you're a LinkedIn specialist, you're gonna be everywhere, like offering services for LinkedIn. But then especially companies that depend on LinkedIn, you're going to be there for that. But then general VA, I would still stick to Facebook. You can go to LinkedIn, of course. You can always find clients on LinkedIn. So in whichever area you are, it's good to be on LinkedIn. But I wouldn't solely stay on LinkedIn for any of it, you know. Instagram, yes, of course. If you're art and design, stick to Instagram and Pinterest. Those are really good two platforms.
What do you think of doing the reverse? So going on LinkedIn, where people are more businessy and probably don't know as much about artsy stuff, and offering your services there, because probably there the market is not saturated, because on Instagram you'll probably have more, let's call them artsy VAs. You can do like the reverse strategy and try to go fishing for that. It
is. I'd say for any area, you should be on LinkedIn because it definitely can't hurt. It can only help you. Because there's a lot more chance that a lot of people will be reaching out to you on LinkedIn as well. But then kind of Facebook groups are the main thing. Okay. And that's where I found clients, where a lot of my clients find clients, and where a lot of the girls also, and colleagues, where a lot of my colleagues from the courses and everything and everyone that I know as a VA found clients. So that's where you start, let's say. But then again, of course, you go to Instagram, there's a lot of them that I know that found clients on Instagram as well. So it's just finding where you feel comfortable and where you kind of, get your groove and get your way. Cool.
And how does the communication with the client work? Like, I presume that you also did some studying on that, like how to explain everything to the person, what you do, and how to maybe negotiate a little bit. Do clients like to go a lot back and forth about the price or working schedule, or what's important for clients at the start?
It depends. Like, it all depends on what they're looking for. Like, you have to know if you can offer them the skills. Like, let's say if they come to you, they'll let you know what they're looking for. Or if you're applying for a job, they'll write what they're looking for. You have to know what you can offer them and how you're going to do it. And then just offer them. You have to sell yourself, let's say, by like going on a normal job interview, but just here you kind of just stick to the facts. You don't go over your way, too broad, because some will have a couple of circles of interviews and just an email application or a form that you'll have to fill out, and then they'll go on a call with you, and then they're asking for something else, and then some will just be like, this is the form, okay, if I choose you, we meet on a call and that's it. You discuss strategy on call and that's it. You can send them the agreement. If they want to go with it, that's perfect. If not, look, sure, there's someone else will. So,
and do clients usually ask for a specific amount of time, or do they do it like, oh, here's a project, and then however long it takes you, like, what are usually the experiences?
No, mostly you would have an actual time frame. Like, there's things like you can go for long-term clients, especially like for admin, like you'll be doing probably some of the same things, on a weekly basis, or things like that. So those will be kind of more broader. Then they can have a project that's not time constrained, but they still kind of expect to have it done in a certain period of time. A lot of times they'll ask you what's your turnaround time. So it means when they give you an assignment, how long will it take for it to come back around to actually do it. So mostly that's people stick to like 24, 72 hours, 24 to 48 hours, most of that you can bring them a turnaround. Now it depends, if it's a big project like a website or something like that, then it's going to be a longer period.
It's going to take longer.
But then you make sure that that's discussed with the client. Some things can be urgent that they might ask you and they can expect it right now. You have to know if you're going to it's best to set certain times then, when you're working for a client, so they know that, they can count on you in that period of time. Maybe that way, discuss that with the client. But then, depends on your schedule as well. Depends if you're starting as a VA and you're still on your 9-to-5 job, you know that you won't be available during that time. So it's important to, clarify that to the client as well. Just tell, I'll be, available from this time on. And that's it. So they can know when they can count on you. If you don't have stuck dates, you can also send them on a weekly basis or monthly basis, how your schedule is. Just so that they know, or you can give them access to your Google Calendar. And if you want to put in your Google Calendar, okay, this is my free time for client work or something like that, then you can give it to your clients and they can see what times are you working for your clients, and then they can jump in. Oh, look, sure, I need this. Can you do this?
Yeah.
Now, of course, if they ask you for something that you can't do and it was not, previously set, that you'll do things that way, then you can always reject and say, sorry, but I'm not able to do that in that time. I can do it in this amount of hours. And, if it suits them, perfect. If not, it's, you're not still there. Even as a VA, you're not there for them 24 hours. Like you're going to be working for yourself, and but you still want your own life,
Yeah, and that's kind of the main point of being a virtual assistant, right? That you're not on a fixed timetable.
For some, you will be. Like, I think that the biggest problem is when you start working for yourself, and especially working from home, is actually getting yourself not to be lazy and not to procrastinate, and just actually make sure that you do the work. So I'd say it is best maybe to set daily times, when you would like to work, and know which days you're going to take off. Just so you can, say to the clients, maybe just best for yourself, because then you can plan the rest of your day or something. Because, if you don't have anything set, like I can't say, it did happen to me as well. You go through it as well. You're like, go somewhere, and then you do this, then you come back and you're like, oh, I'm not feeling like working now, and then you end up doing so many things. Then you're like, okay, I can start working now. And then you start working at 8 o'clock in the evening, and then you end up working until 1 a.m. And then you're like, wow, okay, I should go to sleep. And then the next day kind of, it takes you behind, and you have to kind of readjust the next day. Well, it's fine if you like the night hours, take it, work. It just find the times that suit for yourself, because the more structure you have for your business, the more stuff you'll actually do.
Yeah.
And when it grows, it is then the time when you find the time that you're overwhelmed, you have a lot of clients, you're there, you're earning, you can afford to invest, you should definitely invest in hiring someone else and kind of expanding, because that's how you'll grow, that's how you'll earn more, and that's how you'll develop. If you just stay on being yourself and just working for yourself and never hire anyone, you won't grow any further from that. That's where you are, and that's it. Like, it's like you'll always need someone to take over some of the stuff. And then when you look at it long term, for me at least, I want to manage my business, but not to be doing all the work. I'll still probably have, for sentimental values, clients that I'll want to take care of myself personally. But then, I'll want to have people who can work for other clients. I can have more clients, kind of expand the business. And that's how you grow, and that's how your services develop. And then you can always bring on someone that can, from who you can learn some new stuff. And that's how it goes. That's how your business grows. Because you can't know everything. And that's how everything develops.
A lot of people say that it's super important who you hire, and that will impact your business so much. I heard a few questions online where people ask, like, oh, should I hire someone from Europe, or should I hire someone from, I don't know, Philippines or Thailand or wherever? And the argument is kind of like, oh, in Europe it's a lot more expensive, I can get it there for cheaper. Your thoughts on that?
Well, that's true. Like Philippines, if you're looking for Philippines and someone in Philippines, they normally do charge much lower rate, because for their standards, what they charge for them is wow, they earn enough. I don't think it's fair still. I think that, a lot of areas will kind of start with their lowest charging point will be something that they can afford, that kind of brings, like, let's say Philippines will sometimes they'll work for like $10 an hour, and for them that's going to be wow. But then someone in the US or Europe, they won't work for $10 an hour, because that's nothing for them, Like, then again, someone in Croatia probably will, because then still is the standard. And some other, European countries that which currencies are lower, you know, in that effect. So it just depends. It does depend from where you work. Let's say now in Ireland, I wouldn't be working for, you know, $10 an hour as a VA because, you know,
it'll be hard to
it's
make
quite
it worth
low.
it. Yeah.
And
but can you generally make enough money to sustain yourself as a virtual assistant?
Like, you can, yeah, because with experience, as I said, especially like US, Ireland, UK, countries like that, they'll have one of like higher rates. And I think it's sad as well that, you know, you should pay the Philippines as well as much as you pay someone in the US. It doesn't mean that they are not worth the same or that they don't have the same skill or that they can't offer you, you know, the same service at the same value. For some, they can even maybe do it better. Yeah. It's just, you know, their starting point is much lower because for them, it makes it worth it.
I heard on another podcast a very interesting fact that they will refuse to work for a lot more because then it creates a huge gap. Because if you know that it's a popular business there and then suddenly I'm making 5 times more than you know, people kind of look at it like, oh, like, you know, like, how is that happening? Like, how come he's earning so much more? You know, so people a lot of the times reject having a higher paycheck and accept a lower one just because it's their standard, you know, and then they won't kind of sabotage their environment at home.
It is, that can be the case. Look, sure, there can be multiple reasons, you know, maybe, you know, with taxes and things, you know, maybe for them it's better to accept a wage like that, you know, but I know for some that still, you know, charge higher, even though they're there. You know, like I can go to the Philippines, but that doesn't mean that I'm gonna lower my my hourly rate, you know. So for a lot of businesses, like you have to see how you want to work. Like some will kind of make a combination of project-based packages that, you know, you're gonna charge a set amount and this is what it includes and that's it. And then some will charge hourly. It just depends, you know, what you find best. Some will do a combination. Some will just decide, no, I just want to do hourly. And then some will just do package based, not hourly, and that's it, you know. So
that's fine.
It kind of goes, but with experience, as you grow and as you get more experience and you know more and you know how to implement things, as you grow with experience, you can get to 50 euro plus an hour, which is a lot wherever you live. So I know some people that don't charge less than 100 an hour and more than that, you know, 75 euro an hour, you know, you can get to that, and it just takes time, it just takes experience. And when you feel comfortable and confident that you can offer that value, you offer it. You don't start too early. You won't start with 50 euro an hour because that's not the level of service you can offer. Like, you know, you also have to know the balance and when to actually progress to that part.
All right, so those pricing structures actually sound really, really good. And if you can get a few really good clients, you can kind of make your own business out of it. And sounds interesting. Where have you kind of been specializing on, or in which direction do you see yourself going?
Well, as I said, there's a lot of courses and I did a lot of them. Actually, only 2 paid and the rest of them were all free. And I kind of nailed both of them. So the first one where I went to Lapta Frida program for the virtual assistant, there I chose for an admin VA, and that's where I specialize in. So I'm an admin VA. Outside of that, I took another course that's for web development. And I kind of figured out that I love that and I actually have the skill for it, and actually, you know, can easily learn it, and that I can kind of figure it out while working for a client as a VA. And then they wanted me to make them a simple shop on Shopify. And they're like, you know, I was like, yeah. I was like, admin and tech VA, I wanted to go for that. So I did it there, and they wanted to do some special changes on their site, and they wanted this to be this color and that to be that color, but then not paying for, premium templates and things like that. And then everything when you're making websites, you can't really change everything. You have a template and it gives you certain things you can change. Yeah. But I really wanted to do it for a client. And I was like, there has to be a way. And then I was kind of Googling, and I found that if I do some changes in the code, in the back end, that I can actually do it. And I was like, okay. Then again, if you do some changes in the code, you can actually crash the site altogether. So I was like, wow. But I was so curious, and I did it. I did changes in the code. And, first, when you look at it, it's all like, oh my God, what is this? There's so many lines, and there's like, what is this? And you're looking at.
That surprised me the most, because I never thought that you would get hooked on coding, and you don't seem like a typical code lover person, that sits in front of it.
I know, no one would say that for me. And I love, when I did those changes for that client, I was like, wow, I really actually love this. And this is like so exciting, and it challenged me, it pushed me, to find a solution for something that I never did before and that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And, this is what it shows, when you get stuck with something that you don't know how to do, just Google, find the answer, find someone who can help you, because it doesn't mean you can't do it just because you don't know it. You can always learn everything. So when I find out about that, I was like, wow, this is really something. I was like, yeah, TechVA is great, but I was like, I really did want to go more into that. Now that course kind of covers, that VA course kind of covers, all the areas, as much as it can. It does, touch base with every area, but then that's it. It doesn't go really into code and everything, because then you're going into being a web developer, web designer, classifying yourself as one. As a tech VA, I don't think you really are you going to classify yourself as a tech VA if you're doing coding or something, because no one will know that tech VA actually does coding. You won't expect that. So, and if you want to offer that service, you kind of make it more that people are aware of that. That's kind of only my opinion, of course. So we didn't go into coding and everything like that, more into, like website development, things like that. So I kind of wanted to learn more about that, because I was like, wow, this with websites, it's, interesting. And then I came across, again, on Facebook, an ad for a 5-day free coding challenge.
Nice.
I was like, wow, I'm going to do this.
Coding
and
challenge.
Then I did 2 separate 5-day free coding challenges. One was made by an academy for coding. Another one was made by a woman that has her own business for coding, and she inspires, and learns women to learn how to code, and it's amazing.
Cool.
And I did a few courses on the academy as well. I took the graphic design, I did the basics of web development, just to, understand all the basics of coding and what I need to know and what everything means, so I could actually know how to use it. And then I found her course for web development, and her business is called Geek Pack. And it's amazing. You go into the course, you get merch, you get t-shirts, and everything. You
join the Geek Pack.
Yeah. And it's a great community. It has a free Facebook group. It's a great community, and it's growing ever so much more. And then the course was amazing. It wasn't expensive at all. I was like so surprised. But she goes through steps of coding with you from first step to the finish, how to code the website from scratch.
Nice.
Build the website from scratch, code it, put it live, migrate it, and the plugins and everything. She really goes through everything. It is, my opinion is, it is good to to have some basics, to kind of maybe just Google it online for free, just find somewhere, just what every sign means, like the anchor tag and things like that, just to be more familiar with it,
Yeah.
to recognize it. When you go into coding with her, it's just going to be easier for you to not spend 3 months on actually building one website. You know, you can take your time, why not? Especially if you're working and doing that with work.
Especially if it's a hobby. You know?
Yeah, and especially if it's a hobby, so you can take your time, so that's fine. I just did find that it kind of helped me knowing what everything of that means, because in the course she has an expert vault as well, where she has podcast interviews with experts in other areas, you know, in podcast, in e-commerce, in web accessibility, and in certain apps that you're gonna use and they're gonna help you in building your websites and more, and just your business.
Learn and gain general knowledge.
Yes, and it's not, she doesn't cover just the website, she covers so much more, and she's amazing. I love her. Julia, and Geekpack group is amazing, and I love it, and I just love the sound of it. And she always brings so much value, and that's what I love about her. So I was kind of really lucky and blessed that I kind of paid 2 courses that were both so valuable. So I didn't get burned yet, so nice. I was really careful in that way, even though I didn't know anyone who took any of the 2 courses. But I did a lot of research. Yeah, I did a lot of research, and I love her approach. I love how everything was done. It's such a big support. She does have a big community. There's a lot of people in the group that actually, you know, that work with her in her business and that are helping solve issues, and, you know, they'll troubleshoot with you. They'll help you how to troubleshoot. And she actually has an internship program as well. After you finish her course entirely and everything, I just have a few bits to finish, so I can apply for her internship. And I think it's amazing because if you get another background, learn something else, you know, you're in that environment. And she does have like a newsletter. She sends it once a week, and she sends so much value in that. And every week you get multiple job offers that she finds online that are shared in the groups, in Facebook, in that group, and that's awesome. That she heard from someone, you know, and it's amazing. And there's a lot of like nonprofits that she's connected with. So you can offer, if you're a starter and you just want to practice for a while, you can choose a nonprofit business. You know, you don't get paid, but you make a website for someone, and then, you know, you put it in your portfolio. You did design a website for someone, you know, so when
someone next comes to your profile, he sees that you already have some work done. Yeah, so you have the experience, and then you can ask them for a testimonial as well. You know, you can put that on your website. You know, they can be happy with you, and then again, you know, you still help someone. So I'm kind of now, you know, stuck in like, okay, I want to build my business. So for me, it's important that I actually do have that, you know, that income coming. But I do definitely believe, since I already have some experience and I already have some background in websites, but I will definitely, you know, help some of the nonprofits, because, you know, it benefits them. It's, you know, spreads the word, you know, when you can sign your name down on a website that it was designed by you. And, you know, you'll learn through doing a lot.
Because there's a lot of different businesses, and then with each one of them you'll have to learn different things and what they need, and, you know, what you could use for them, and then, you know, you can always apply it to another business. So I'm kind of leaning more now to website design, website development. As I said, I find coding very interesting and very like, wow. Mind blown. I love the community, and like the vibe there is like that, you know, and everyone's so excited.
That's great, because usually people comment on coding that it's more on the boring side, and that nothing happens, that it's very slow, and that it's not a vibrant community. It's more like a relaxed, chill community, you know.
No, it's this group of women, it's so fun, and you actually learn how, when you go into that, oh my god, like every website now that I visit for something random, like I'm searching something that I need, you know, and then I'm kind of, you know, exploring something. I don't know, we're going somewhere, and then I'm Googling and I see a website and I'm looking, I was like, oh, I understand this bit. it's not okay, you know, or there's an error, or I see, you know,
it's not aligned perfectly.
yes, or I see a line there and there's a line of code showing because they didn't complete it properly. So you actually see on the website a line of code instead of an actual what it should be. And I was like, oh my God, I see what an error here is. Or you're looking at a website and you're like, oh my God, like they're missing this, they could do this, you know.
Did you ever send them an email like being like, hey,
no,
you
not
have
yet.
a line of code sticking out, like
not yet, but it's definitely, I should definitely. It's just there's amount of websites. I was doing another client work, so that's what I had to research a couple of websites, so that's when I noticed it. So I didn't really have time, but yeah, definitely something, you know, to point out. But it's amazing how you kind of figure out things, you know. And I find myself now using the inspect tool a lot, you know, on a website, and then you know, you can actually
see the code and
and then you can see where you can actually do the change and what you actually need for the change. And then it's easier for you, even if, you know, you're changing up or you redoing the work of someone else, you know, it's also good to kind of find your space, to know where to look for something and where something should be, you know, where you can find something and where something should be changed. Now, of course, you know, in your way, it still didn't happen to me, but you know, you have to crash a site to learn how to fix it. So it's probably going to happen
at one point.
Point, but you won't learn until it happens actually to you. But it doesn't mean that you can't fix it. That's why you have backups and things, you know, to cover yourself. And that's everything that you learn there. And you know, it does really help to have that, you know, access to it all the time, you know, because you can always go back to things and be like, okay, I'm not sure of this thing, and then you can go back and search for things. And as I said, it's not just coding, it's much more than that. And then you know, every once in a while there's, you know, these events that are free and that you can go for, and tons of value. And she has so many connections and so many people that, you know, can help you with your business in general, you know, and how to set it up and financial side and things like that, not just
help a lot.
Building a website. So it's amazing and I love it. And it's just something I'm kind of amazed with, hyped about lately. I
also think that it's a good niche to go down, because with this new whole digital world and everything that's happening, more and more people are just going to need more websites. You know, people are going to start projects, start companies, have passion projects of theirs, and they're going to need someone who can build a website for them. And I just think that opens a lot of opportunities for people. I also see that there's a new wave and a new trend coming, which are digital nomads, where now in the last 2 years, everybody kind of got convinced that they can work from home and that they don't need to be in the office, which suddenly opens up the idea, wait, but why should I be at home? Like, I can take my laptop and I can maybe work from somewhere else. You know, maybe I don't have to be at home, especially if you don't like your apartment, or if it's a small place, or a, you know, like crowded city or things like that. You can maybe go somewhere else. And we see a huge trend now coming of digital nomads. Do you consider yourself a digital nomad, Dea?
Well, I did move to a different country. And I'm still there. I will consider myself a digital nomad as soon as I start traveling, which I do intend to. I do have to wait for my partner as well to be for that as well.
Sounds like a great guy.
He is. No, it's just, you know, kind of setting things in place. So I definitely do want to be a digital nomad. And there's so many things that a lot of countries are now, you know, realizing the trend, and then setting up digital nomad visas, and, you know, attracting digital nomads, you know, come here and work here, and, you know, this is what you can do. So
Croatia is a great example of that. I spoke to Jan de Jong on the podcast. He's the guy that kind of started this whole digital nomad visa in Croatia, and it went through because he sent an email to like the prime minister, and he wrote an open letter, and it got accepted after a while. So he's working on bringing more and more people to Croatia, which I think is a great idea. But now I want to hear your thoughts on something else. Like, if you come to Croatia and the summer is so nice, you don't want to work, you want to be on the beach, you know, like have fun,
and then maybe Ireland is a better country, because it's raining all the time, and then you're at home and then you get more work done. I would personally like Croatia more, for VAing, but
well,
do you think people might have problems with, like because if you go to the Maldives or Cambodia or, like another place that's very exotic, and you're a traveler, you love to travel.
Yeah.
You will have the urge to kind of visit everything, So
it is, but that's why you take a longer time. Like you don't go somewhere for 2 or 3 days. Like you still can, of course. If you do a lot of work, and you can always work 3 hours a day, and you can take 2 days off, 3 days off. Like some people work only 4 days a week. It's just, it's easier when you can do your own schedule. But that's the passion of it. I think more people as digital nomads, you would go somewhere for a longer period of time, let's say at least for a month, or a couple of months, to properly explore it. And then, you'll set your schedule. You'll be like, okay, these days I'll be working these days from this and this time, and this is what I have to get done in that time. And that's it. And I think that gives you even more focus, because you're like, I have to get this done because I want to go and explore the town. If I don't get this done in this time, I'll have to stay, because you still have to think about your business and your clients. They can't suffer because you're traveling, So I think that gives you that more of an urge to, I'll have this done and I'll stick to it, and I think you can be more productive because you're more incentivized to actually, do the work in the certain amount of time. And then, you can go and explore, you can enjoy the day, go have drinks, whatever. It's bad weather. One day you can choose, okay, I'll work the whole day now. And then another day when it's a good weather, you can take the whole day off, So
those are the main benefits.
It is really. And then especially as it grows and as you get, a lot of because it's, there is, a lot of men in the community, but I'm kind of in all the communities, it's kind of more women, and it's more of them, it's kind of working from home as they're, they have kids, or, it's kind of easier, or they're single moms or something like that. So that's why a lot of women actually go into that. And it's not that there's no men, there's a lot of digital nomads that are men. It is more of a percentage is women. So in this coding space that I'm in, it's only women, because she does want to help just women, because for men, if you're a coder or a developer, you have so many options and they'll probably already be there. It's for women that it's more like, women be a developer, especially if you're like, single mom, she's gonna be a developer. It's like me, you would never say, but then why not? If you have the skill, if you actually understand it, you can learn it. If you don't have interest for it, like, you'll never learn it. And that's normal.
Yeah, that's true. I actually talked to a lot of companies while working in recruitment, and a lot of them struggle to find female coders and programmers, because I think it's not in the culture that much that they go down that route, but we see like a small trend of it going upwards. So it's slowly changing. It will take time, but I think the numbers will get closer with time, where the number of engineers, because a lot of companies have like a standard, like you can't have 100% men working in one department or one position, so they have to hire, and that's a constraint because it's harder to do. So as soon as they get like a girl that's a coder, they're like, yes, here's a job immediately, so girls, you might have it a lot easier to find a job in that space. Hot tip there, but definitely worth trying. I want to get back to the digital nomad thing for a second as well. What are some of the countries where you would like to travel there?
Wow, there's loads of them. Japan is kind of the highest on the list. Canada. I'd love to visit Mauritius. And well, can't say that I wouldn't visit Maldives as well.
True.
And I've been to Finland. I do love it. very cold, but I'd go there again.
You love to travel, right?
Yeah, I do. I do love to travel. I've been to a couple of countries. Everything kind of for a shorter period, for like a week or two tops. But I would want to go to a proper, space, place like, further away, like Japan, like wow, like go there for 2 or 3 months, actually, live there and, see the culture and like learn everything, because there's so much to see. You can't really see it in just a short period of time.
And the culture is so different than ours that if you're there for like a week or two, you just kind of get into it. And then you have a feeling, oh, I have to go back, and then you have a feeling, oh, I didn't see and visit like not even 10% of it, So I definitely feel the same about that point. I definitely think that visiting, like if you've never been to Asia, taking a month would be kind of like a minimum.
It is, because when you look at it, it's also a different time zone. Like your days is going to shift entirely. So you will need, a couple of days to adjust to that, at least a day or two. I'd say probably more, but look, sure. I've never been to such a time difference. I wouldn't know. But I'm sure that it takes, that time. I would actually, from recently what I found, I would actually like to go to Alaska as well.
Why?
More chance to seeing the polar lights, the glaciers. I don't know, it just looks interesting.
Cool.
It's something different, and it's, when you look at it, it's like North Pole, and you're like, wow. And I love Christmas, so so much snow and everything. It does get to minus 35 degrees though, but as I said, I've been to Finland. I've experienced it. I've survived.
Croatia gets cold winters as well.
Not that cold.
Not that cold, yeah.
But yeah, it does get. But we don't really get proper snow as we used to. So that's why traveling to those places exactly for that time of year, would be amazing. So yeah, there's a lot of places I want to see. I would like to travel the world. Heck, I'd like to go to America as well,
Yeah, anywhere basically.
I do, because there's a lot of countries where I know people as well, and I have friends, and I would like to visit them also. So I have a couple of them in America.
Hop in
also.
for a coffee,
So yeah, I'm traveling everywhere, traveling the world while working and having the chance now. There's going to be a time when I'll want to settle down at some stage, but for to have a place to be. But I'd say throughout the life, I think I will never stop visiting places and traveling.
Yeah, like your friend Leo.
Yeah.
Always on the move.
God.
Always going somewhere.
Oh my God, every month somewhere different. It's wow, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It can be exhausting, I'd say, as well.
It can, but it's beautiful. Dea, you seem like you really enjoy what you're doing, and you definitely bring in a lot of passion to the whole coding and programming side, which I personally didn't expect, and building your own business. And I think you're happy with it. I feel that you're kind of going in a direction that's kind of fulfilling you. And I want to ask you a question that usually everybody gets at the end of the podcast, because that's kind of how the whole podcast started. Is the Uncle Gold podcast is like, it'll be great if you had someone in your life from a young age that was like the Uncle Gold who taught you everything and showed you how to get the money and be rich and be happy and manage your time properly and basically everything. But most of us didn't, because parents always work and things happen, and so we have the podcast where we bring on people to kind of share their stories and their journeys, how they got to finding their gold in life. What would you say is a great tip for the audience listening? How to find the gold in life?
Just make sure whatever you do that you don't have any regrets, because life's too short for any regrets. And look, sure, you'll have your ups and downs. Start something new. You might fail, you might succeed, but even if you fail, just go forward, find something else and push it through. I think just being having faith in yourself and finding the support that you need, and just surrounding yourself with people that can help you, get to where you want to be. Just have a clear goal and go for it, no matter what anyone else says. Surround yourself with people who will say yes, go for it, and who'll, be there to support you and who can help you in the journey. And whoever says that that's not for you, or you can't do it, or just ignore, let those people go.
Great advice. Yeah. It's hard to have regrets. I think Gary Vee talks about that a lot, that he wants to live a life where he doesn't have regrets at the end.
Yeah,
I think that's very smart.
I think we all have them, and we all have had them. And, thinking now, doing something and then thinking, oh, will I regret if I fail? Don't regret any fails. You failed, but you learned. Just make sure you learned something. Fail or succeed, make sure you always learn something. Make sure you just go forward, don't go backwards, and that's it. Just do it. Just do it, as Nike said. But yeah, I don't want to live life full of regrets. I don't want to miss opportunities than regret them. Like I'll rather go to an opportunity and then see, it wasn't nothing much special, could have done without it, but then I won't regret not going, and not trying out. I started this now, I'm full-time now, my boss, let's say, and I work for myself, and I hope to build a great business and to support other people, and to bring people into my team and to have a great team, and and to have that help everywhere in the world. I don't care which area you are from, or my clients are from everywhere and different time zone, and you just adapt. So yeah, just don't stop. Look, sure, this can fall apart. I can lose the business, but you do everything that it doesn't, and you stick to it, and you don't start anything with what if it fails.
Yeah.
Don't think about it.
You go for the win.
Yeah, that's true.
Awesome. Great advice. Thank you so much for sharing your time and all the ideas and knowledge that you gathered. Guys, I hope this helped you if you're maybe starting down a similar path, or if you had questions that weren't clear about what a virtual assistant is. If you have any more questions, please leave them in the comments below, because they will keeping an eye out on everyone commenting. And if you want to ask more, feel free to add Dea on social media. Dea, where can people find you if they want to get in contact with you, maybe for work or just for more information?
I'm basically everywhere.
With the traveling and everything, you are everywhere.
You can find me definitely on LinkedIn as with my full name, and on Facebook as well. So feel free to contact me there. I'll probably see your messages more there than on Instagram. I am on Instagram. You can add me there, follow me, but it's more of my personal one. I'm still setting up my business Instagram. So when that comes, that's going to be a lot of value. So that's going to be good to follow then. But I'm still working on that. So my personal one is a good start. But messages always go to requests there, so I don't always see them in Instagram. So yeah, I think Facebook might be the best. I think I'll mostly see them. And look, sure, as I said, a lot of connections are on Facebook, so I can just send you the links if you want to have a look to any of the courses that I did, or the top
groups
2-3 groups. I'm not sharing the list of all of them, I'm sorry. There's just too many, and they do change over time. You just have to work on it. Some close, some change their names. You can't really find them from what they were before. So it's hard to keep track of all of that, but I can give you the main ones. And if you are thinking of starting something like this, just give it a shot. Start with free courses, and then you'll see if that's something that you find yourself in. Then do a paid course. It's a lot of value. Just make sure you find the right one.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. Make sure to subscribe to the Uncle Go podcast to get more videos like that. And hopefully Dea comes back for episode 2, where we hear how her business is evolving.
Yes, definitely. I would like to. There's a lot of other steps in starting a business and things like that, so we can go more into that and how it works, of course.
Perfect. Well,
Thank you so much, Dea. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
The Uncle Go Podcast.